Today, I actually had a lot of time to think about things already. And I'm like, my first thing that I was going to do is, okay, so I'm just going to play the same deck as yesterday. I need to gather more data about how the deck is going to go. And it's a good deck. And then my secondary idea was, okay, I'm going to try out this rogue deck because I'm not legend yet and I really should try it out so I know how to play it before like the rank matters too much. And then I had another thought, and the thought was, wait, shouldn't I just be trying out the deck which I think is best right now? And I think that we've moved into a meta, and this is like something that I just came up with like 5 minutes ago. I think we moved into the meta where Ramp Druid is best. That's hard for me to say considering I haven't played any games yet, but I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Let me get rid of this garbage. This was from the Master King of the Hill thing where you had to put a legend of each mana cost in the deck. Senjin, of course. Well, not of course, but throw in the mind control tech. Oh. I don't have any Druid of the Claws in here. Druid of the Claw is pretty good right now. It's always good, and I think I was pretty unusual not to run them. I was unusual not to run them. It's more reasonable because I didn't do Force Savage. I can take out the Azure Drake, which is aiming more towards a control meta, and put in the Druid of the Claw, which is aiming more towards an aggressive meta. I'm starting to see a pattern from last month. It's like everything is the same, yet everything is different. Well, rather, everything is different, and yet everything is the same. That's probably the better way to say. Yes, everything is different, and yet everything is the same. And the key is to stay one step ahead, and I think this one is actually one step ahead. Oh goody, it's a Mech Mage, which is part of which this deck is good against, I believe. Can a Ramp Druid deck work with 2 Violet Teachers and 2 Power of the Wild? Yes, it can. What's a good substitution for Cenarius? Well, the 3 cards I recently removed for this deck were Azure Drake, Black Knight, and what was the third one? Sneeds. Azure Drake is the budget substitution for any of the cards here. The reason for not running Dr. Boom is because that would be the only card in the deck which could get BGH'd. Which, if you think no one's running BGH, feel free to run it then. Well, if you think enough people aren't running BGH, I should say.
I'll show them all.
Okay, I gotta plan out this curve. I'd like to not kill this that fast. And I'd like to have a drop every turn, so if I went 4, the next turn I would have nothing. So I think I simply Wrath here. And the next turn. Or I could Innervate Senjin. No, but then the next turn is weak. Get rid of a 3-2, it's okay.
I am ready.
Slow start from the opponent. Okay, I should save the Zombie Chow for the Mad Scientist. Also, I should be careful to play this because of Fireball, so I think Coin might be best here. Because this and that both get Fireballed. And given the weak start, it seems likely he drew in his spells. What's my opinion on adding Chogzor to the deck instead of one Ancient of War? Well, one is a 5/10 with taunt, the other is a 6/6. If you're up against aggro decks, the war is clearly better. If. Two Shade seems too slow for the deck, what do you think? I think it's okay. Your mileage may vary.
Well played.
Thank you for the delicious chow. Okay, swipe this, hit that, or swipe this, or Sludge Belcher. Nah, swipe. Get rid of all the mech. That's a thing. Nice early game advantage. I don't like Hearthstone in the current meta. Useless against Mech Mage, useless against Druid. Warrior is very rare. The only thing it's strong against, it's currently getting played as Paladin. I looked at the data. I haven't seen, my experience is I haven't seen that much Druid. And that Rogue and Paladin are somewhat out there. And then there's like a mix of Warrior, Hunter. Hunter's actually a little bit popular. It's possible that the meta changes day by day, and it is possible to see the Harrison get cut.
What to do?
One of the reasons why I'm running this deck right now is Black Knight is at an all-time low. And I think that's the right time to play this deck. Can I explain the difference between Ramp Druid and normal Druid? Well, typically the main difference is that the Ramp Druid doesn't run Force Savage. Do I want to reversing switch this? Or I can just hit Sludge Belcher reversing. Okay. There. Mech Mage is gonna have a bad time trying to get through all this stuff. Come on, MCT/BGH. Wow, that's bad. Okay. That's bad. Oh, I was in a pretty big lead. Right. Dr. Boom. I think I'm still in the lead. It's just a little more complicated now. Oh, I did the attack that I was going to do. Well, that's pretty good for me.
I must safeguard them.
Oh, I understand the attack though, since I just drew 3 cards. Could have BGH'd or MCT'd. Or still MCT'd. Do I want a hero ability? No, this card is better than a hero ability. And I'm more likely to run out of cards. That hits it and then I'd get nowhere. Could play Shade of Nax. And that might actually be the best choice.
Nox is all I see you.
I am ready.
That was a lot of damage. There's only 2 mechs here. Swipe would have been good, but no swipe. Ancient of War is good. Okay.
Feel nature's wrath.
Kill both or kill 2. Yes.
Feel nature's wrath.
Disadvantage actually. This disadvantage will actually come into play.
None shall.
Oh, that sucks.
Where shall I strike? Tadingo!
I cry every time.
None shall.
Well played.
Well played.
I'm sorry.
Victory or death!
I must protect the wild.
No, this is a very good hand. And I have a Harrison Jones. And it's a druid against a warrior. Hopefully I win. What do I think is the strongest class / deck in the current meta? This one. In so few words. Hopefully the answer I always give will be this one. That is the goal. Unless I'm specifically doing science. Why Shaman disappeared after the Goblins vs. Gnomes release? The cards they got weren't too exciting, I suppose. Now, Trogzor and Foe Reaper, good legendaries. I recommend looking at lists of decks that compete in tournaments and seeing whether or not those cards are running them. Then you might be able to see whether or not they are competitive.
What now?
Currently, no. Wow, that was a big waste. Wouldn't it have been better to hit also and then replace? Is Control Warrior possible with Alex no Grom or vice versa? Yeah, I think it's possible either way.
Back to work.
So I intend to build a Shaman deck. If I think such a deck can be made well, then yes. I don't currently have an idea for it though. Don't want to play Sylvanas into Death Spite. Don't really have much out here. Could hit with this, but this is also... it's just... This card happens to be terrible against this card. This card is... He's just using the Death Spite. It's probably bad for him to do so.
Special delivery!
Bomb Lava. Okay. That's cute. Don't want to swipe that. I think that's alright. I think it's okay also not to swipe it. This card already beats it. Why is Lothab seeing less play now? Because decks with heavy amounts of spells are lesser. How do I think Blizzard will nerf Dr. Boom? I don't even know if they will nerf Dr. Boom.
What now?
Do I think they should nerf Dr. Boom? Hard to say. Can a priest deck focused on taking minions away from your opponent be viable in a meta with minions picked to be out of BGH range? Yes. Probably. A little bit of a strange question to ask because the two aren't that related to each other.
Time for games.
For the wild.
Can I recommend a rogue deck with Galliwix? You can look at my old deck lists. I had some control rogues which ran Galliwix. You can just put it into a Miracle Rogue too. It's a fairly standard card. How popular would Boom be at 8 mana? Quite a bit less popular. Might just completely see no play. Possibly. Why don't I play it? It's because that would be the only target in the deck which could be BGH, of which many decks run one. Do I think Baron Geddon is good in Control Warrior right now? Yeah, I do.
Armor made to fit.
But I prefer Rush or Control. Why? I prefer control because I like having a bit more control over my games. Rush seems like, not that there's anything wrong with Rush, and I'll play it if I think it's the best deck out there. It's just whether or not it is true or not. It feels like you have more control over your fate with a deck like Control. Could just all be in my head. It's possible. Feels like you get more choices. But turns out aggro decks have many choices as well.
I can take the hit.
Type. The things I do. For you, my dear friends. And the question is, do I want to get an Armor Smith, or do I think I can get better?
Time waits for no one.
The Armor Smith isn't bad. If I get greedy, could get this executed, this traded in, this sacrificed, and then I don't get an Armor Smith. But he'll stack the Armor Smith anyways. I'll exercise a little bit of ambition. I think if he had the execute, he'd have used it. Or a shield slam. Doesn't have either? I guess that's the call to make. No, I could have, that's an option I didn't see. Attack this, wrath it for 1, steal a 5/5. That's not bad. I might have even taken it. That option. But the way he's played seems to very specifically be that he doesn't have an answer to this, and that this staying alive might be a problem. So it's not clear which play is better. I will say though that the wrath this and attack this play is better than attacking this and getting an Armor Smith.
I must choose.
Well, good news is it appears that my ambition has paid off. I don't even have to use a swipe here. All I have to do is hit this, and then hopefully Sylvanas doesn't die to the first boom bot, and if it does, hopefully Sylvanas wins the 50-50. And also, I can't imagine that this play was the best by him. Oh, I also can't attack with her first, so I guess I just start with hero ability, one of the boom bots.
For the wilds.
Excellent.
Let none survive.
That play is pretty desperate by him. Or bad, so his hand is pretty clearly something like 3 big cards. I could have silenced the boom bot to make it guaranteed, but I valued the battle cry on this. And I'm willing to chance it out a little bit at least. Take a little bit of a chance.
Who dares defile this ancient land?
I have to think about how not to get brawled. This is a good way to get brawled, but currently, it's fine.
This ancient land.
I would have been happier with a play that's less good than this, but I have no play that's less good. Well, less good as in develop a minion, which is less valuable than the scenarios. Could I make a deck building strategies Trump teaching? Sounds like a good idea. Perhaps sometime.
I have no time for games.
Do I win? 7, 11, 13, 18, 20. Oh. many damage. Opponent felt weak. Maybe he was aiming more against aggro.
I must protect the wild. Nature will rise against you.
Druid. Do I want to keep Zombie Chow? I'm gonna take my old stance still and just hard mulligan for Wild Growth Innervate. The Zombie Chow doesn't seem to do enough. That's very successful. What's a good counter versus Druid? Druid's pretty sturdy. This deck in particular, putting in Black Knight ruins its day. I am temporarily running this deck because Black Knight has fallen out of popularity a little because this deck has fallen out of popularity. It's kind of a cycle. You just take advantage of whatever you think is least represented. And this time I want to get ahead of the cycle for once. Can I explain that mulligan a bit more? Sure. Zombie Chow doesn't do enough. It doesn't kill this, it doesn't kill this. The 2 damage is almost inconsequential to anything the Druid can play. So I go for pretty much only Innervator or Wild Growth. Or Shade of Naxxramas as the cards I want. Pretty simple. 5 and then 6, 7, 9. Okay.
That belongs in a museum.
Opinion on Trogzord, the Earthinator. Too slow. Unappropriate for the current meta. Inappropriate, rather. But again, that's just one man's opinion. Depending on ranks, the time of day you play on, the server you play
I have
on,
no time for games.
what everyone else happens to be thinking at the time, everything could be different. What a time to not have a owl. Keeper, rather. I can't play Ancient of War. I can do this and then hope he steals the 2-2. If he steals 5-3, then I swipe. Actually, if he steals... If he steals the 5-3, I definitely swipe. If he steals the 2-2, do I swipe? No, if he steals the 2-2, then I Ancient of War. So therefore, I'm never doing anything with this. No. If he steals the 5-3, maybe I play Ancient of War. No, it's too big to not swipe. Plus I hit the 2-1. If he steals the 5-3, I swipe the 5-3. If he steals the 2-2, I play Ancient of War. What do I do with the swipe? Maybe I play Big Game Hunter. Does he run Dr. Boot? I'm going to say no. So therefore I should play Big Game Hunter first. No. I think I ended up missing 2 damage, but it's pretty irrelevant. I was thinking, like, is there any situation where I never not attack with the 2-2? But my head blew up, and then there's a Black Knight too. Alright, swipe. Hero ability. Send this guy in. 4-6-2. These Black Knights. I say Black Knight isn't very popular right now, but I keep getting Black Knighted. It's perhaps a misread. Or maybe it's just bad variance. Either way, it's pain.
I've got the beast.
Time waits for no one.
Minions, servants, soldiers of the cold dark. Obey the cold knowledge whose eyes.
Well, play.
A lot of that one comes to number 1, I didn't have an answer to Sylvanas. Number 2, I got Black Knighted. And if Black Knight is popular, then I really don't want to run this deck, but I'm going to chalk that up to variance for now.
Watch your back.
I must protect the wild.
Why didn't I play the turn 1 Shade? Because then my mana curve is bad. I'll play this on turn 3, then I can play this on turn 4, and this on turn 5. I treat Innervate as a way to smooth out the mana curve instead of a way to accelerate. Is there any good replacement for Harrison? Yeah, Azure Drake. Why has mid-range Shaman shifted out of the meta? Because it's not strong enough to be good against... It doesn't have anything unfair enough in it. And it's not sturdy enough to beat everything. It's a generalist deck which isn't generally good enough, I guess is the brief way of saying it. That's interesting. I can innervate Wild Growth, which lets me play Ancient of War the next turn. Okay. Those are 2 interesting cards to draw. It's not entirely good because... like, 2 cards, but... it's fast. I was thinking about playing this, and I was like, okay, if he saps, I can just replay it again. But with this, he can't sap. But I mean, it's not necessarily better either, since... Have I tried Oil Rogue? I acknowledge it as a strong deck, I have not actually gotten a chance to try it yet. Mainly because I think there's a side effect of Harrison coming back in, which makes it weaker. I want to try it out when Harrison is less popular.
So many.
What would be my favorite deck in a very slow meta where there is near no aggro? Priest with 2 mind control. Even then though, you might still get overrun. But if we're talking theory, that sounds pretty fun.
We hunger for vengeance.
Do I want to silence that guy? The only other guy I want to silence is Von Cleef. So I will silence it. Edwin Von Cleef. Which not every deck even plays. That makes me prefer Ramp rather than Force Savage. It has more stopping power against aggro, is why I prefer. Oh, how convenient. Probably play the 3 and the 6. That's good. I want the 6 to be at full health because AoE is a thing. Oh, very friendly bombs.
I have no time for games. I will be your death.
I'm constantly scared of something like Oil plus Flurry. Or even Deadly plus Flurry here now. That'll push a bunch of damage.
Let none survive.
Thoughts on pirates with Hobgoblin? Don't believe any pirates actually have one attack other than the Corsair. Sounds like a bad idea. Am I planning to play any rogues soon? I was actually going to do so today, until I realized 1. Harrison is popular, 2. Black Knight is not popular. And then I realized, okay, I'll try that rogue out when Harrison is less popular. And I really want to play this deck when Black Knight is not popular.
Choose soon.